Walters is a great place to watch all of the NFL Week 1 action. Walters always prioritizes sound and prime central TV showing for the Commanders game. This Sunday afternoon, Washington and Jaden Daniels visit the Tampa Bay Bucks at 4:25.
Do you want to be part of something bigger? At Siemens, we use AI to transform the everyday. Our engineering solutions drive innovation and change. We're leading in technology and building a sustainable future. Join Siemens and make an impact to transform the everyday. Apply now and be part of something extraordinary. Visit siemens.co.in/careers.
Chaparro played in 10 games at Rochester after the trade from Arizona. In .332 at AAA Reno in the D-backs organization this year with 19 homers, 75 knocked in, and it's a shot to deep left center field. Back goes McKinney, way back, going, and gone, goodbye. Bang, zoom goes Andres Chaparro. And the Nationals have put a crooked number on the board here in the top of the first inning in Pittsburgh. Bases loaded, 2-2 pitch. Ground ball right side, through into right field, a base hit. This is going to score 2. Cruz, the throw to the plate is not in time. And the Pirates lead by the score 5-3. Nick Gonzalez a single to right.
And he's in danger of a walk with the bases loaded. He needs a strike. The 3-0. He does not get a strike. It's too low. So a bases loaded walk makes it 8-3 Pittsburgh as De La Cruz will score.
And welcome to Nats Chat for Friday, September 6th, 2024, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who is at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. The Nationals have fallen to 16 games below 500. Most games below 500 that the Nats have been in this regular season. Thursday evening, a 9-4 loss at the National League Central worst Pittsburgh Pirates in Game 1 of a 4-game series. The Nats now are 62-78. Odd game. The Nats got off to such a good start. They on Thursday evening scored 3 runs in the top of the first, but allowed 5 runs in the bottom of the second, and the game essentially became a blowout. This also, though, was a game in which the Nats out-hit the Pirates 10-8. And yet got outscored by the Pirates, 9-4. We'll get into the why behind that what. This was a game in which starting pitcher Jake Irvin struggled again. This also was a game in which Nats and Pirates pitchers combined to issue 14 walks and 2 hit by pitches. Mark, this game on Thursday evening, not exactly an exhibition of pitching excellence.
These are 2 teams, Al, that appear to be limping to the finish line. 2 teams that at one point this summer felt pretty good about where they were. The Pirates even more so. They were legitimately in the race over 500 at the trade deadline, made some moves and just completely collapsed since then. And the Nationals, we know really since June, it's kind of been obvious that they weren't going to be in the race. But I mean, boy, this was an ugly game between 2 teams that aren't playing very well. And another one of these nights where, number one, the one bad inning really defined it in a lot of ways. But there were plenty of opportunities for them to make more of a game out of this than they did. And they just didn't take advantage of it at all. And it made the rest of the evening feel just like an exercise in just perfunctory performance. Like we have to get through the rest of this game. And they slogged their way through it.
Yeah, I mean, you do see a team out-hit another team and lose. How often do you see a team out-hit another team and get more than doubled up, like lose 9-4? You know, maybe you lose 6-5, but you out-hit the opposing team. This was bizarre to me. You out-hit the opposing team by 2, and yet you lose by 5 runs. But again, struggles with runners in scoring position, an issue for the Nats. We'll get to that. But yeah, Jake Irvin, another rough outing for him. 5-run second for the Pirates on Thursday evening. All of those runs coming off Jake Irvin, who once again falls prey to the big inning. He in this game allowed at least 4 earned runs for a 7th time in 11 starts. He's struggling now. And now that Mackenzie Gore is back on track, I think Jake Irvin takes the title of Nat starting pitcher who you're most concerned about for the moment. Irvin in this game allowed 6 runs in 5 innings, gave up 7 hits, 2 doubles and 5 singles. He issued 3 walks. He recorded 4 strikeouts. He threw 87 pitches, 52 strikes versus 35 balls. That bottom of the second was the thing, 5 runs. The 5 runs came on 4 singles and 3 walks. Each of the 4 singles in that Pirates 5-run second, had an exit velocity of at least 94.3 miles per hour per StatCast. Now, he did end his outing in a good way. He tossed perfect 4th and 5th innings, so there was that. He did commit an error in this outing. 1-run third, committed a throwing error on a pickoff throw. But, you take a step back. Jake Irvin's ERA now has gone from 2.80 to 4.28 over these 11 starts. He's in a rut.
Yeah, his ERA over those 11 starts is 6.90. That's really bad. And certainly the last 2 starts, it's been defined by this one inning that completely got away from him. 7 runs against the Cubs, 5 runs here against the Pirates. And in each case, he has bounced back from that, made it a little ways into the game, put up some zeros after that. And so it leaves you wondering, like, what's going on in that one inning? And I think in this case, at least, his struggles in this game were entirely about his curveball. He gave up 7 hits. 6 of them came off the curveball. And as you mentioned, the exit velocity, how hard those were being hit. I think at one point, the Pirates had swung at 5 curveballs, put them all into play, 4 of them for hits. So why is that happening? The sense I got from him and from David Martinez after the game was that he was getting ahead in the count very often and going to the curveball, and the Pirates were sitting on it. I think they scouted him. They felt like this is the pitch he goes to try to get outs. Now, he didn't execute them very well either. Their pitches left up in the zone, but he felt like it was a little too predictable as well. And then what you saw him do over those final few innings was rely much more on the fastball, go more to a changeup, try to shake things up a little bit. So on the one hand, good on him and Keibert Ruiz and Jim Hickey and Sean Doolittle for deciphering that in game and making the adjustment. But boy, you can't be that predictable. And if you're really going to have success in this league, you've got to have hitters believing you can throw anything in any count. And if they really are just sitting on curveballs when they get behind in the count, that's way too predictable for anybody in the big leagues.
We've had similar issues pop up with other young Nat starting pitchers in terms of pitch selection and not relying on the fastball enough. Is the problem that these guys just don't have elite fastballs, and so they're forced to try to use these other pitches, and these other pitches maybe aren't so great, and so that can get these guys into trouble? We've had this with Josiah Gray. Now we're having this with Jake Irvin.
Yeah, I think there could be some of that. Certainly in Josiah Gray's case, we know the fastball was his least effective pitch, and he's got a whole assortment of off-speed stuff, and so he would rely on that too much. I think Jake Irvin's got a decent fastball. It's not elite, it's not Mackenzie Gore, but it's not bad. And I think Davey Martinez's point to him is, hey, especially when you get a lead, like they gave him 3-0, go attack them. Make them show they can hit your fastball before you start going to the other stuff. Now, his curveball is probably his best pitch, and when he's effective, he throws it very well. But at some point here, you've got to learn how to say, okay, I could throw that on the first pitch, get ahead and come back with fastballs later on. I could throw it later. You just can't get to a point that everybody knows what's coming unless the pitch is so elite and you're able to command it so perfectly. Big league hitters are going to be able to handle that if they have a hunch that it's coming. So I think in some ways it's just kind of overthinking it a little too much. Trust your fastball. That's usually what gets you into the big leagues in the first place. There aren't a lot of guys who have success in the big leagues without at least a semi-decent fastball. Trust that. Use the other stuff on top of it, but don't rely too much on it, especially if other hitters know that you're relying on the other stuff too much.
And, it's funny how things are. Both Gore and Irvin started to struggle around the same time, but as Irvin was starting to struggle, he would have a good start here or there. And so you felt like he was kind of holding on and maybe was going to right himself without things really coming apart at the seams. And Gore was the guy who was really plummeting. I don't want to say that Gore is totally back, but he certainly has been a lot better lately over his last 3 starts. And now I think there is concern with Irvin that his season could get lost a little bit here. I mean, seeing that ERA soar as it has, you presume a few more starts before the end of the campaign. I don't want to see him end with an ERA above 4 like it is now. Like, he's had too good of a season for that to be the case. But right now, he's certainly in danger of his overall stats for the season being marred by this late season collapse.
No, 100%. I mean, you mentioned July 4th, he's got a 2.80 ERA. We're talking about him as an all-star. And as we sit here now, it's up to 4.28. It was up to 4.4, I think, before he had those couple of zeros to end the game. Now, he should have 4 more starts. Unless they change up the schedule, which they could. We can talk about that a little later. There may be a 6th starter here coming up before the end of the season, but at least 3, potentially 4 more starts for him. And I think these are big starts for him now. Not that starts at the end of September and a lost season should define your season. But we talk about it's 162 games for a reason. And you can judge a guy along the way, but at the end, what's the bottom line? How did you do over the entire season? That's how you did. And if it's a 4-something ERA, I think it paints this season in a very different picture. And we're probably going to be talking more about the way he pitched in the second half than the first half. And especially, and Davey brings up this point a lot, for these young pitchers, for them to get to where they ultimately want to be, these guys have to understand how to sustain this through August and September. And as Davey points out, in a perfect world, for a whole nother month after that. It's not just about finishing September strong. It's about still having something in the tank, because someday they want these guys pitching all the way through October. You got to learn how to do that, how to sustain it. The season is long, and the season will expose you over 162 games, who you really are, who you're not. Everybody's going to have their struggles along the way. It's the ones who are able to rectify that, not let it linger, and come back and pitch the way they were earlier on that ultimately have success. That's why Mackenzie Gore's last 2 starts have been so encouraging. Jake Irvin needs that now over these last 3 or 4 starts.
It's funny, too, and I've been thinking about this. Opening day starter for the Nationals in 2025. Who the heck is it? I mean, a few weeks ago, you would have said, well, the top internal candidate might actually be Jake Irvin. Now, what? I mean, Irvin maybe, Mackenzie Gore maybe. If I had to bet money, I'd probably say the opening day starter is someone not currently on the team. But this is really up in the air. There is an uncertainty with the following season's opening day starter like there has not been in a very long time with this team.
Now, we were very spoiled for a while, given who their 2 primary options were to start on opening day, Scherzer and Strasburg. But yeah, you're right. You had those years of Patrick Corbin by default. Then you finally felt like this year, okay, they've moved on. They have one of their own young guys who earned it with his all-star performance the year before. And then Josiah Gray had a rough one at opening day and only made 2 starts and out for the year, plus another one on top of that. At this moment, I'm probably taking somebody from outside the organization. Now, I want to believe that whoever that acquisition may be is somebody worthy of an opening day start and not another one of these, well, he's a veteran, so by default, he's going to get it. If they go that route, I hope it's somebody truly an opening day type starter. If not, I think you could make the case for Gore, but he's got to finish strong. You maybe make the case for Irvin, but he's got to turn it around here the last few starts to get that assignment.
You wonder if Irvin and Gore are competing for that opening day nod for 2025 over these final few weeks of this regular season. Hey, Al Galdi here to tell you about the latest great offer from Window Nation for listeners of the Nats Chat podcast. 2 free windows for every 2 windows that you buy, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years. If you have been thinking about getting new windows, now is the time. Get with Window Nation, 866-90Nation or windownation.com, and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. September has arrived. A great time to replace your old inefficient windows with energy-efficient windows from Window Nation. You can get a free, no-obligation quote from Window Nation right now. Contacting Window Nation and seeing what new Window Nation windows would cost you costs you nothing, obligates you to nothing. 866-90Nation or windownation.com, and take advantage of the great offer for listeners of the Nats Chat podcast. 2 free windows for every 2 windows that you buy, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years. 866-90Nation or windownation.com. That's 866-90Nation or windownation.com, and tell Window Nation that Al Galdi sent you.
Are you looking for tickets to an upcoming event? That's why you should download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code NATSCHAT for $20 off your first purchase. You get cheaper tickets, and it helps the podcast a bit. Sounds like a smooth 6-4-3 double play. Again, create an account and redeem the code NATSCHAT for $20 off. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
3-1. Salazar to the belt, and now to the plate. Inside, he walked him. 9-3 Pittsburgh, back-to-back, bases loaded walks. Reynolds will score. Tellez picks up the RBI.
So Jake Irvin struggled on Thursday evening, but so did the Nats bullpen, especially in a certain inning. What happened in a Pirates 3-run six really was something. So ultimately for the game, 4 Nats relievers combined to allow 3 runs in 3 innings with 6 walks. Joe LaSorsa got things going. He officially allowed 3 runs in 2/3 of an inning. He had what ended up being a 3-run six for the Pirates, faced 6 batters, but got just 2 outs. He gave up a single, issued 2 walks, one of which was intentional, and issued a hit by pitch. Also during his time of the game was LaSorsa and catcher Keibert Ruiz getting crossed up for what officially went down as a 2-out run-scoring pass ball on Ruiz for a 7-3 Pirates lead.
The 1-0 from LaSorsa is low, and the ball missed by Ruiz. The runner breaks to the plate. The throw to LaSorsa. The tag is not in time.
LaSorsa in this appearance, 20 pitches, just 11 strikes versus 9 balls, and that was with him generating 2 called strikeouts. That's hard to do, and yet he did that. Then we had Eduardo Salazar. He officially tossed a third of a scoreless inning, but that in no way tells the story of his outing. He came into the game in the bottom of the 6th with the bases loaded, 2 outs, and the Nats down 7-3. He, over the first 2 batters he faced, issued back-to-back 2-out, bases-loaded walks on a total of 9 pitches, putting the Nats down 9-3. Salazar in this appearance, 11 pitches, 2 strikes versus 9 balls. Zach Brixey then came into the game. He tossed a scoreless and hitless bottom of the 7th, but he issued a walk. Tanner Rainey tossed a scoreless and hitless bottom of the 8th, but he issued a walk. So again, 4 Nats relievers, 3 runs in 3 innings, but a jaw-dropping 6 walks from Nats relievers in this game.
That bottom of the 6th was hideous. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And they were on the verge of getting out of it without any of that stuff happening. LaSorsa has runners on 2nd and 3rd with 2 outs after 2 strikeouts, as you mentioned. And now he's got Brian Reynolds coming up to bat, and they decide to intentionally walk him and load the bases for O'Neal Cruz, getting the lefty-lefty matchup. You say, okay, I understand the philosophy there. And this game is still within reach at that point, let's remember. I think it's 6-3 at that point. Well, what happens? The cross-up. Keibert Ruiz is expecting a slider, and Joe LaSorsa throws him a fastball, and you saw his reaction to it. You couldn't react to that in time, and it gets away from him in a run score. So number one, there's that. How, in the days of PitchCom, are you getting crossed up? It's supposed to say in your ear the name of the pitch. How did one of them think they heard slider and one of them think they heard fastball? I don't know. It's a great mystery, but that cannot happen in today's game. So number one, that. But even when that happens, so now you've lost the whole bases loaded situation, but you still have the lefty up in Cruz. You can get out of it. What does he do on the very next pitch? He hits him. So much for the platoon advantage. You wasted the intentional walk. You allowed a runner to score on a cross-up and then hit the batter anyways, and now you're out. Just a hideous sequence there. And then Salazar, who I think has been pretty good for the most part, could not find the strike zone. 4-pitch bases loaded walk, 5-pitch bases loaded walk. That was so ugly. I guess you say, thank God it didn't come in a really tight game or with them holding a lead or a tie game or something like that. But it essentially put this game out of reach in a really ugly way that just should not be happening at this level. I understand it happens every once in a while, but that combination of what happened there, that inning, that was about as bad as it gets.
That was really ugly. You know, it's a funny deal with the Nats pitching staff. We have seen it decline, but when it came to the 2 things that the pitching staff was doing such a good job of avoiding, home runs and walks, pitching staff, at least in recent weeks, really isn't giving up that many homers, but you are seeing some walks. We obviously saw way too many walks in this game. You know, we don't talk much about the PitchCom thing. Is that in fact a reliable technology? Like, is it possible it went out for like a minute or 2 and they couldn't use it? Or is it in fact something that normally holds up really well?
Well, if it doesn't work, they're supposed to signal and get it changed. And you see this happen all the time. There are all kinds of delays because the pitcher says, oh, no, I can't hear. It's not working. And they get it fixed. So if it wasn't working and they knew it wasn't working, then bad on them for not calling time and trying to get it resolved. I don't think it's possible you push a button and you hear a voice in your ear saying what the pitch is. So I don't know how one heard slider and one heard fastball. Now, maybe something else was going on. They were giving signs there instead. But that's the kind of stuff that used to happen in the old days. There's no reason for that to happen right now. And if there's any confusion or any uncertainty about it, call time, figure it out, especially if the bases loaded. Why would you take a chance on something like that with the bases loaded?
Yeah, that was not pretty at all. And it was so like par for the course in this game. Again, two bad teams, ugly game in a lot of ways. So the Nats offensively in this game, like I said earlier, out-hit the Pirates 10-8. Also drew 5 walks. 10 hits, 5 walks. You say, all right, this is a pretty good offensive game. But the Nats scored just 4 runs. Why? Well, 2 for 13 with runners in scoring position. The Nats did have 3 extra base hits in this game, a home run, 2 doubles to go with 7 singles. When it comes to the 2 most important Nats right now, Dylan Cruz and James Wood. Cruz as the Nats starting right fielder and number 1 batter, 1 for 4 with a single and a walk. He also had a stolen base, so the single coming in the Nats' 3-run first inning, a leadoff infield single on a well-hit grounder to the left side of the infield. The single per Statcast exit velocity of 104.3 miles per hour, 3rd highest exit velocity of the game, and Cruz then had a steal of second base, and he and the Nats 1-run 9th drew a 6-pitch walk. Now, Wood in this game as the Nats starting left fielder and number 2 batter, 0 for 4 with 2 more strikeouts. He did, though, draw an impressive walk, top of the second, a 2-out 9-pitch walk, despite having been down in the count at 1.02. But also in this game was Nasim Nunez standing out in a significant way. Now, there's a lot to Nunez's game. First of all, there's why he was starting this game, because CJ Abrams was not starting this game. Abrams did not play as he continues to struggle, was a big-time topic during Davey Martinez's pregame session with reporters. 3rd time in 12 games that the slumping CJ Abrams does not start. So here you had Nasim Nunez, the Rule 5 draftee, starting shortstop number 9 batter. He goes 2 for 2 with a double, a single, and a walk. And these were some impressive at-bats. Top of the second, 1-out opposite field double off the right field wall on a 1-2 pitch. Top of the 7th, a leadoff 7-pitch walk. And then Nunez in the Nats' 1-run 9th, leadoff, full count, opposite field single to right field, despite having been down in the count at 1.02. And Nasim Nunez hit the ball hard. He, per Statcast, had an exit velocity of 100.9 miles per hour. I, after the game, looked up Nunez's stats for this season. I figured, well, the total of plate appearances must be low. It is 38. I mean, I didn't even realize it was that low. 38 plate appearances for the entirety of this regular season, but he has an OPS of 820, which I bet shocks people. Now, you dig deeper on that OPS, it's made up of a sky-high on-base percentage, 441, and a really low slugging percentage, 379. So there is a lot to digest with the Thursday evening for Nasim Nunez, but good on him to have the game that he had.
Absolutely good on him. That was his first career extra base hit here on September 5th for a guy who's been on the big league roster the entire season. But as you said, it's not like there have been a whole lot of opportunities for him. It's only the 36th game that he's played, only the 9th game that he has started. And as you pointed out, that's been 3 of the last 12 games that he's actually started. Let's also remember, he began his career as a hitter, 0 for 10. So since then, he is 10 for 19 with 4 walks and 4 sack bunts, because he had a sack bunt in his 4th plate appearance in this game. So 4 productive plate appearances for him. It's way too small of a sample to really judge anything from this, but I will give the kid credit. He's not supposed to be able to hit at the big league level. They knew that coming into this. This is all about defense and speed. And the hope was, well, we'll get him working with the big league hitting coaches and try to get him as many opportunities as we can, and maybe he can improve in that regard. He has shown improvement. Very limited opportunities to do so, but he has shown improvement there. So good for him, playing with some more confidence now. And I'll be interested to see the rest of the way. Do they find more opportunities to get him in there? CJ Abrams, as Davey Martinez flat out said, has been struggling. He acknowledged that, particularly wanted to sit him against the lefty. And maybe this is something we will see more of down the stretch. He's already moved him down in the lineup to the 6th or 7th spot. And now you're seeing him actually sit him more regularly than we have in the past. Doesn't mean Nasim Nunez is suddenly going to have a shot at being the everyday shortstop. No, that's not going to be the case. But maybe a few more days off would do CJ good and give Nunez an opportunity to play a little bit more and maybe salvage something from this whole year spent watching from the dugout and ostensibly in preparation for his 2025 season that he'll spend at AAA.
The Abrams thing is really troubling. It was interesting hearing what Davey had to say about why Abrams is struggling at the plate, and talked about like tired legs, bad footwork, and thought, hey, maybe if we get Abrams off his feet for a day, that'll help him out here.
Against the lefty, I'll give him a day off, let Nasim play. Trying to get him going again, I know he's struggled lately, so just another day.
The truth is, the Nats, since the All-Star break, have had a good number of off days. This has not been the schedule that we had going into the All-Star break. So, I get it. It's a long season. Guys probably are fatigued, maybe are dealing with nicks and ailments that we're not aware of. But at the same time, the Nats have had a good number of off days here since the All-Star break. So I don't know how much the fatigue issue is valid. With Nasim Nunez, I've thought about this. I do think there's an argument to be made for revamping these Rule 5 draftee rules. I don't know who benefits from the way this works out, where a guy gets plucked from another team's minor league system, has to stay on the major league active roster, but then doesn't play or barely plays. How is that good for the player? How is that good for the club? Because this guy's eating up a roster spot that a more deserving player could have. And then how is that good for the team that lost the player, the team that initially had the guy in the farm system? So, I don't know what the solution would be, but this whole system doesn't make a lot of sense to me, that you have to just park a guy on your active roster. He doesn't play. He loses a season of development in theory. I don't know. It just didn't seem to do guys a lot of good. But I give credit to Nasim Nunez. Perhaps he has improved. He's been able to work on things. And, maybe we are seeing a guy develop here, even with a lack of actual playing time in games.
I think the Nationals' approach to this has been a little bit out of the norm. I feel like most teams that take these players, either they don't make it and they're sent back to their other team, or they offer them back and the team says, no, it's okay, you can have them. They clear waivers and they just go to the minors anyways. I think most who do make it end up playing a decent amount, either because there's a need for them on the particular team that they're on, or something else happens and they find playing time for them. I feel like the way the Nats have handled Thad Ward last year and now Nasim Nunez this year is a little bit out of the norm. Ward, by the way, we haven't talked about him all year. He's been at AAA pitching for Rochester and has not really done anything worth talking about or putting himself in the conversation to come back up here. Nunez maybe has shown enough in the limited time he's had here to say, okay, get him a little more regular playing time in the minors and he could amount to something in the big league someday. But what really is he going to be? A utility infielder? I don't think they're looking at him as an everyday player. We know the defense is outstanding, but are they going to have a spot for him as a utility infielder? I don't know. I do agree it can stunt their development. Missing essentially a whole year at a time when they should be playing every day is not good for them, but neither is being stuck in somebody's farm system and not ever having a chance to make it up with them. That's kind of the idea behind this. It's been this way for decades, where this is to sort of prevent teams from just stashing prospects in the minors without ever giving them a shot in the big leagues. It's a weird thing. There aren't that many success stories who come out of it, but I feel like the Nats in particular have really taken it to the extreme the last 2 years with their two guys.
Hey, Nats Chat, want to tell you about Mint Mobile's premium wireless package starting at $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/natschat. That's mintmobile.com/natschat. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/natschat. $45 upfront payment required. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigs on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Join us at Walters on Friday, October 4th for our end-of-season podcast party. The evening is scheduled from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m.
For those interested in learning a new language, whether it be Spanish, French, or something else, check out Babbel. Babbel's 10-minute lessons are quick and handcrafted by over 200 language experts, ready to get you talking about your new language in just 3 weeks, because talking is the key to really knowing any language. Designed by real people for having real conversations, Babbel gets you talking. With over 16 million subscriptions sold, Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by a 20-day money-back guarantee, so no pressure. Here's a special limited-time deal for our listeners right now. Get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for Nats Chat listeners at babbel.com/natschat. Get up to 60% off babbel.com/natschat. Spelled BABBEL.com/natschat. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Pitch inside, but it hit the bat of Chaparro, a foul ball. Or no, they're saying it hit him. Sounded like it hit the bat, didn't it? Everyone in the park thinks so. That'll force a run in. And so now it's the Pirates 9 and the Nationals 4.
Well, the Nats' home run on Thursday evening came from Andres Chaparro. Another extra base hit for him. He is the Nats' starting designated hitter and cleanup batter, 1 for 4 with a 2-run homer. Also had a bases-loaded hit by pitch, so a 3 RBI night for him. Did strike out twice, but Chaparro in the Nats' 3-run first, 1 out, 2-run home run on a bomb to left center field for a 3-0 Nats lead. The homer going a projected 419 feet per Statcast. Also, Chaparro in the Nats' 1-run ninth, 1 out, bases-loaded, hit by pitch to cut the Nats deficit to 9-4. So we just broke down the Nasim Nunez OPS. Here you have Andres Chaparro. Since being promoted from AAA Rochester to the Major League level on August 13th, 79 plate appearances, OPS of 757. That is made up of a really low on-base percentage, 291, but also a very nice slugging percentage of 466. So the exact opposite of the Nasim Nunez OPS. But I tell you, Chaparro, he does make a good number of outs, but he has hit for some power. He's shown some pop since the Nats promoted him to the majors.
When he makes contact, he makes really good contact. That's 11 extra base hits in 20 big league games. I'll take that. Now, the key is to have a little bit more contact than he's providing, and certainly to have maybe the ability to draw a few more walks and get on base at a little higher percentage than that. But I think we're seeing at least enough there to say, this is somebody worth getting more of a look at, somebody worth considering next year as maybe part of a DH platoon or as a backup first baseman DH kind of situation. It's not a bad right-handed bat to have coming off your bench. He was not considered a top prospect at the time of the trade, but it is nice to see that they could turn somebody like Dylan Floro into a guy with at least some promise. You know, when you're talking about a rental player as a veteran setup man, you're not normally expecting to get a lot in return for him. And so in some ways, I kind of like this pickup for Floro better than, say, a low single A prospect who maybe has a chance of someday being something, but you never really know. Whereas here's somebody who was big league ready, getting his opportunity and may actually prove to be something for them.
Well, and it's instructive too because he had really good numbers in the PCL, which is known for inflating offensive numbers. So you didn't know what to make exactly of the offensive prowess that he had displayed. But you know what? The guy can hit. Like we are seeing that with what he's doing for the Nats at the major league level. Also, a good game for Juan Yepez. He is the Nats starting first baseman and number 3 batter, 2 for 4 with an RBI double, a single, and a walk. Yepez in the Nats 3-run first, 1 out opposite field RBI double to right field for a 1-0 Nats lead. Top of the 7th, 2 out first pitch single up the middle, and Yepez in the Nats 1-run ninth, a 1 out 5-pitch walk. It's funny, Yepez got promoted to the majors right around the same time that James Wood got promoted. Wood got promoted on July 1st, Yepez on July 5th. Yepez actually has a higher OPS than James Wood has since then. I'm not saying Yepez is Wood, okay? And I'm not saying that Wood has been bad. He hasn't been. But your Yepez OPS is 796. Wood, 787. Juan Yepez, he got off to the hot start, then he cooled off. But he actually has been back to being actually fairly productive here lately. And, he's being selectively used right now by Davey Martinez. But I give Davey credit. He's using Yepez in a way that is leading to some good numbers for Juan Yepez.
I think that's the key, is that there was a period there where just because they didn't have anybody else, he's batting third like every day for them and playing every day at first base. So that was a lot of at-bats against right-handers. I think they're finding better matchups for him versus lefties, letting him DH more, not just playing first base, because I think out of all their first basemen, he's been the least effective defensively. So just let him focus on hitting. They've used him the right way. And kind of like Chaparro, it's somebody worth considering for some kind of role as they move forward. Probably not as an everyday guy, but somebody who could be a decent bat off the bench, a part-time DH, part-time first baseman. I don't know how that really fits in, and there probably isn't room ultimately for both him and Chaparro because they're both right-handed. But I think one of those two could be a part of this next year as they try to assemble a more potent lineup.
When you look at Chaparro, Jose Tena, and Juan Yepez, who do you think has the most promise moving forward for the Nats? Like, who's the guy? In my mind, I tend to group those guys all together because they all kind of came around at the same time. They're kind of at the same level in terms of like how you view them in terms of, their promise. Who do you think has the most promise out of those three?
Tena's the youngest. I think he's only 23 and in theory, a little more positional versatility playing all three infield positions. I think the question with him is he going to be a good enough defender in the infield to keep up here? It would be a weird thing to have a backup infielder who hits well, but doesn't necessarily play the field all that well. He's gotten better at third base. So I think there may be more upside there with him just because of the age. I think Yepez is probably the most established, not that he's a whole lot, but he did play some for the Cardinals a few years ago. And Chaparro clearly has the power potential. I just don't know how much else he has, and that it does feel like the kind of guy that once he gets exposed a little bit, teams figure him out. They can contain that bat and not give him a whole lot of stuff, and he's going to take some big swings and maybe strike out a lot. But we talked about it at the time of the trade, and since then, his numbers at AAA, not just this year, but the year before when he was in the Yankee system, excellent numbers that tells you something might be there. But I do worry that I'm trying not to fall in love with Chaparro too much because I feel like it could be Joey Meneses part 2.
Good point. Yeah, absolutely. Game 2 for the Nats at the Pirates Friday evening at 6:40. DJ Hers will be the Nats starting pitcher. You can hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can email the show, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on our website, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Letters the 0-2. Ripped into left field. Going back, Parmigiani at the track looking up, and it's gone. Once again, Andre Chaparro goes yard.
4 home runs in 4 straight games.